but
What
it's not
is
pizza.
how is it different from like normal pizza?
I lied. It's not pizza.
What?
I don't know how to explain it, man. It's just
It's what?
it's like uh
What is it?
I don't know. I don't know. How do you say Jianbing? I'm gonna search it up. Jianbing.
Dude, I don't know what that is. Don't ask me that.
Jianbing in English. English. It's just pan fried crepe. That's it.
Crepes, you mean?
Yeah, crepes. It smelled like crepe.
It's
Crepe,
not.
yeah.
It's crepe.
I'm almost done. I have some questions prepared too.
All
Prepare
right,
for a
Fred, you
long
prepare for
episode.
me.
I don't want it to be like Daniel's episode.
What? Stupid.
I mean, it was funny, but
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
anyways, I'm ready now.
Okay, let me call you.
Hi, Alex.
All right, Ethan, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing
Hi.
today?
I'm doing good. Yeah, thanks for having me. I
Yeah.
think the channel about video gaming and mental health. I think is a great topic. So
Oh,
I'm excited
thanks. I
to
appreciate that.
yeah.
So let's kick things off with the classic questions.
Should I introduce Should I introduce myself first?
You're Ethan. That's all you need to do.
Yeah. Hi guys. My name is Ethan. Ethan, and I'm a sophomore at Brown right now, studying chemistry and CS.
Okay.
Right.
So, did you ever have the problem of being addicted to video games at any point in your life?
Honestly, yeah, definitely.
When?
Like I'd say there are multiple stages, and so the first stage was definitely around late middle school. This is like fifth or sixth grade,
What were you doing
and
then?
I got
You were
really
playing Fortnite?
not Fortnite, but I didn't have like a phone or like any mobile device at the time.
Oh,
But a lot of my friends did. So Clash Royale and Clash of Clans, like these mobile games, were really popular.
but you
Um,
couldn't play
and
them.
I couldn't play them, but I downloaded it on like my mom's phone. And I know that there was like a there's like this stage where I was really addicted to playing Clash Royale because all my friends were playing it, and I thought it was cool. So there were times even when I'd wake up early before school started so I could use my mom's phone and like play Clash Royale. So yeah, I'd say I definitely had eras where I was addicted to like certain
But
video
like
games.
that sort of addiction didn't really interfere with anything, right? Because you could only play when your mom gives you your phone. So, did it actually
Yeah, but
interfere with your life?
not really, but it just felt like it felt very excessive, you know? Like I could have maybe used my time a little bit more like wiser instead of just playing games whenever I like
Yeah,
having
but
that thought
like
at
doing
least
what
in my
else
mind.
instead, you know? Because in eighth grade, what responsibilities did you have that you weren't addressing because of Clash Royale, you know? What were you
Yeah.
ignoring?
It's not so much like I was ignoring anything or like foregoing my responsibilities, but I think definitely now I'm having this sort of thought now because I don't. If I'm gonna be honest, I don't really play much now, unless it's with my friends like you guys. But
So you
there
think
were
that
so
means
many
that it was a
things.
waste of time when you did it because you don't do it
I'm
anymore?
not so much like a waste of time, but it's all about balance for me. Like I think balance is a very important like aspect of life, not just like with video games and responsibilities, but with any type of responsibility.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I could have. There's so many things now that I want to do now that I love doing, but I didn't really give it much thought when I was younger, and
Oh, I
maybe
see.
I
So
could
not
have spent my
necessarily schoolwork, right? Like your other hobbies?
no exactly right like violin. I love playing the violin, and I started when I was in around fifth or sixth grade. And I feel like if I dedicated more time, like I'd be so much better, and I could play so many more pieces.
Yeah, true.
Um, so,
Yeah, 'cause I was gonna
but
say like
yeah,
just because you don't play Clash Royale anymore or something. Like I don't play Mario anymore, but I would never say that me playing Mario as a kid was a waste of time, right? Like I still
yeah,
think the enjoyment I had from that is well worth it.
no,
But
definitely,
yeah,
yeah,
good point. You know, you could have done other things,
yeah.
but
It's more so like that was just like always what was on my mind at the time was like I'd wake up and I'd literally wake up with the intention of trying to play these mobile games, right? So I
Yeah,
thought, to me, I think that's a little bit like unhealthy.
but that was largely
Um,
because your parents kind of made it that way, I guess, because you couldn't play unless you had their phone, right?
right, right,
So it made playing very valuable to you, and any chance you got, you'd do it,
yes,
right?
yeah.
Do you think if you
That is
had more freedom to play when you wanted, you would play less or more?
that's a good question because I also want to know your insight on this, but I'll answer. Here's my answer to it. I think in the beginning, I would definitely be I'd feed into the addiction, and I think I'd play a lot more. But then eventually, I'd get sick of it. I'd get
Yeah, I
tired of
think
it,
me too.
as with a lot of things. And I'd learn myself to like understand that I have other responsibilities, but also that it's not as like there are other things that I could be doing, right?
Yeah, I think we all learned that during COVID. Like, just if you let yourself run free on games, you're just gonna fall into the addiction.
Oh,
So,
definitely. And
but that did mean that I got bored of it pretty quickly afterwards. So,
yeah, no, I was
it's a
gonna
learning
say,
curve.
yeah, yeah.
But I also think
I was
it
gonna
depends on
say
the
that.
person. Oh, go ahead.
No, no, I was just saying that I also the other time that I feel like I got addicted to gaming was during COVID. But that was in large part because yeah, there wasn't really much
You couldn't really
else
do
that
anything
you
else.
could
Yeah,
do
exactly.
with your friends. With your friends, I mean, it was lockdown. My parents at least were very paranoid about me hanging out with other people because
Yeah.
um, yeah. So, but
Yeah, I think as a kid, you shouldn't have unlimited freedom with games. But I think once you're old enough to realize that there's other things to do, then it's okay to have that freedom. Because if you keep on, I don't know, I feel like if you keep on restricting them, then people are just going to play anyways. Like I would, when I was told I couldn't play, I would, I would play anyways, just not when my parents were looking. So
yeah.
I feel like it's the same thing with, like drinking alcohol. Like everyone does it before 21, right? In the US. Like, realistically,
Most people
everyone
do.
has done it at some point before 21. So, is there any point in restricting it to the age of 21? Why not just let them do it in places where they can be monitored so that if something bad does happen, they don't have to worry that like, oh, we shouldn't call the ambulance because they're going to get arrested or something like. I feel like that wouldn't happen,
Yeah.
if there was just less restrictions. But who
You're right.
knows?
I mean, there's like that is a valid argument, but that's more so like a that does lead into like the political side of things.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know, but I see your point. I think, and I see it not just in terms of like alcohol and video games, but like for me, I also had an addiction more so in just simply just surfing the web and watching YouTube videos. Like
Yeah, that's a
I used to
problem because that's like
I
not
used
a
to
very
binge shows.
productive thing at all.
Right, right. Like it's way more isolated. You're not really, at least with gaming, it's um number one, it's like there's like professional scenes with gaming, so I feel like you could definitely, if you wanted to pursue a career in gaming, it's like
Yeah, but also
awesome.
like gaming is a hobby that's like
And it's a
relatable to other
social thing.
people. I feel like if you,
Right.
let's say you spend all your hours just going on TikTok and watching Instagram Reels, like, and then you go, let's say you go meet with a colleague or go on a date, like, what are you gonna tell them you do for fun? Oh, I watch TikTok for fun. I mean, it doesn't, like, no one can
I mean,
really
it's
relate to that.
relatable.
Yeah.
Well, it's like relatable in the sense that you're both like wasting time.
Yeah, but like you don't really
Consider it wasting time.
necessarily watch the same things. You don't like it's
No,
not
no,
really
I
something
agree.
you
Yeah,
can relate with.
yeah.
I feel like it's
But
not a
that's
great use of time. It's really just a de-stressor, if anything. But
right.
the amount of time people spend on it, you don't need 3 hours to de-stress. I mean, come on.
Yeah, for sure. And for me, this aside from like TikTok, when I was in middle school, especially, I was I was obsessed with like watching all sorts of like TV shows and anime shows, and I would stay up late.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
this is when in like middle school we had to wake up at like 5 a.m.
Yeah,
because
yeah, I
class
remember
or like
that.
6 a.m. right? So I would stay up until like 2 a.m. just binging shows. Okay, it's like now that I think about it, it's like it's kind of ridiculous. But I mean, I had a good time, but it was very much unhealthy. And I think part of the reason was because my parents regulated it so much. And then
So
there
the only
like
chance you got to do it was, at night when everyone was asleep,
was in
right?
secret at night, exactly, yeah. And so as a result of that, it's like it was like this experience was just so it was just like, oh man, like I have to get everything out of this opportunity um of like when I can watch it at
Yeah,
night, right?
exactly.
It's
That's why I think the same problem happens with alcohol, but I guess there's probably a reason that it's 21, or maybe
yeah,
there's
I
not.
think
I
a
wouldn't
lot of it
know.
has to do with physical like health too, because
Yeah,
alcohol is a drug. It is a drug, right? So there
but
are
it's
some like
not something
consequences
you should
from
normally put in your body. Yeah, I guess you could say
exactly,
that.
yeah. So maybe that's, but I mean, yeah, it's like something that is you can relate between the two. So
Yeah.
would you say you had like a phase where you were addicted to gaming at all?
Yeah, I mean, COVID, I was definitely addicted because I noticed I was because we used to play, for example, we used to play 5 games of competitive CS:GO a night, right? And then
Mhm.
now, recently, I tried to do that. We would play like 1 or 2 games, and then we just think like, oh, I can't really do another one. Like I'm tired. I'm bored. I
Yeah,
don't want to do
yeah.
anymore. So like I realized that the amount I played before is just unfathomable. Like I don't know how I did that much. But so
Yeah.
it's definitely during COVID and definitely during online school too, because I mean when it was high school online, like no one's really paying that much attention in class. So it gave
Yeah.
me a chance to go on the game a little bit during class.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Maybe a lot of
Yeah,
it, not just a little bit, but
yeah. No, me too, for sure. But the thing is, it's weird because I can see how it's an addiction, but at the same time, is it right to fully consider it like an addiction? Because for I consider addiction as something that you can't stop yourself doing, right? Whereas with like gaming during COVID, so a lot of people, yeah, they couldn't stop themselves while gaming. Like when we
yeah,
started going in
I don't
person,
think I
right?
could
So,
have stopped myself then. It took a long time to like naturally go away.
okay, I see.
But I
Yeah,
think when you
for
have
me,
too much free time and then nothing to do, it's
mhm.
easy to fill that time with like, you know, random garbage like video games.
Yeah,
I mean, I
yeah.
wouldn't say video games are necessarily garbage. I would say if you're playing with friends, it's fine. But if you're
Mhm.
playing by yourself all the time, I feel like that's not good.
Yeah, I feel that
Because
for
if you
sure.
think about it, playing video games with your friends is not like that different from, playing soccer with your friends or playing mini golf with your friends. It's only the only difference is that you're not seeing them in person, right? But
Yeah, yeah,
I feel like in other ways it's basically the same thing. I mean, you're just hanging out together and doing a shared
yeah.
activity. So I don't think it's that bad. I think it's actually good for you. I think, if you can't do anything else, like it's raining and miserable outside or something, like why not just play video games with your friends? Like I think it's good for you.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Like I've gotten closer. Like I don't unintentionally, maybe that's probably a bad word to say. It's like saying as if like, "Oh, I don't want to get closer to you," but like I've kind of like unintentionally gotten closer with a lot of people. I didn't, for instance, if we're talking Liam, I know he's been on your podcast. I
Yeah.
I actually met him through you guys because we would play games together, and like now I love that guy. Like he's a great friend to me.
Yeah,
So
exactly. I mean,
it's
I was friends with Liam in early high school, like ninth grade,
mhm,
but I didn't really talk to him during the first bit of COVID, and then during the second bit of COVID, we just had him join to play League of Legends. And then after that, he just
mhm.
became part of the friend group. And now that's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the main
So it's
friend
like
group we hang out with. So, that's how
yeah,
it was
like video
formed.
gaming. So like this like video gaming basically brought you guys together, right? It
Yeah,
was like
it
something
seems stupid if you think, wow, like, oh, just playing some game brought all these nerds together. But like, no, I think it's a perfectly fine way to meet people. I think it's better
yeah,
than
no,
like
of
meeting
course.
people
Yeah.
at, like
Like a party, like a
I
club.
I guess a
Yeah.
party. I mean, when people aren't sober and you don't really know if they even
Yeah.
wanted to talk to you or not.
Right, right. But
So I
I
think I
actually
think it's
have,
pretty good.
yeah, but I was actually going to ask you about like the major causes of addiction, but I feel like we've covered that. But I do want to ask, of course, like Alex, you have like a plethora of hobbies outside of video games. You know, you
Yeah.
play violin, you play basketball, you know, we play soccer a lot too. So how would you say your enjoyment from playing video games like compares to your enjoyment with other hobbies like violin or sports?
I mean, specifically with basketball, I'd say I enjoy playing basketball with our friends more. But I'm not, I used
Hmm.
to not think that. I mean, I used to think that just playing video games all the time was more fun. And I think if everyone is on the game, it is fun. But the problem is that that doesn't really happen that often anymore. So I think it doesn't really matter what's happening as long as we can get the most people together. And the most people together often happens with basketball or soccer. And then like violin is kind of just like a solo thing, you know, it's like a personal getaway to just forget about everything else and just it's like me time. So that's why I
Yeah,
enjoy
yeah,
that. But I wouldn't say I would rather do that all the time than play basketball with my friends all the time, you know? It's like I don't want that much alone time. And
yeah,
I feel
yeah,
like that's why a lot of people play instruments. It's kind of like an alone thing to just
yeah, yeah,
de-stress.
definitely.
I
Like
mean, is that why you play violin too, or is it just fun for you?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So well, number one, like I love music. I love all types of music. So
Yeah.
classical music included. And um, so I actively enjoy the pieces I'm playing. But also, I definitely agree when you say like it's an escape, because a lot of the time, at least recently, let's face it, we're getting older.
I mean, a little bit,
And
yeah.
okay, like, and I'm honestly like an overthinker, so I have a lot of these thoughts.
Yeah.
Um, and for me, violin is a way to escape from those thoughts because all I'm doing is I'm concentrating on how to tackle this section of a piece. So I agree that it's an escape for me, and it's something I can enjoy doing by myself. And as an I'd say I'd consider myself more on like the extroverted side.
hmm
So for me, it's something I can do when everyone else is busy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. Exactly. And speaking of music, I actually wanted to ask this. So, I know playing music is pretty different from listening to music because the music we play is, classical, usually a romantic era, which is not
Mhm.
exactly what I would listen to, all the time. So,
Right.
like when
No,
you
of
when
course.
you drive around, you listen to music, right? Obviously.
Yes.
And when you walk, let's say to your class, do you listen to music too?
Yeah, I do. I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, like, do you think that listening to music like that, when you're doing something mundane, do you think it benefits you? Do you think it like lifts your mood, or do you think it
Mm.
distracts you, or what do you think about that?
Honestly, yeah. And the thing is, I don't notice it a lot of the times.
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't realize this, but um so I do listen to music a lot, and I'd say in general music, the mood of the songs that I listen to play a huge part in how in like my attitude and how I am as a person, right? So if I listen to sad music, I'm gonna feel sad, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And if I and this is very evident when driving. I love driving, and sometimes when I'm driving to work, I will put on music that sort of matches the how I'm feeling. So
So
if the sun,
sad.
so like no, what I'm saying is like um sometimes I'll put in like I'll be sad, right? And to make myself feel happy, I'll put on like happier music, right? And
Oh,
I
I
can
see.
feel that it actually like lifts my soul up because I'll start singing with the lyrics, I'll start dancing and stuff like that. Even though like I could have like one of the worst days at work, but then all of a sudden I have this song on and I'll just be jamming. I'll just be vibing.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
That makes sense.
yeah. But also it sometimes it's bad because I wouldn't say bad, but like with the gym, for instance, I don't really listen to like hype music too much,
Yeah.
like rap and stuff like that. But I know a lot of people listen to rap or like some type of hype music at the gym to help them to push them to motivate them, right?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
but I don't. I just listen to whatever I want to listen to at the gym, and in the past few weeks, whenever I went, I could tell that I was losing focus during reps. So then a few days ago, I went to the gym and I forgot my earbuds, so I
Oh, I
couldn't listen
see.
to anything.
So then
And
how did that go?
I felt that I could actually focus and concentrate so much more on every single rep, and I was getting way more sort of like
Really?
value. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. Because I thought, I've thought about this. Like, if you, let's say you try to go driving or go to the gym without music, would you think that
Mhm.
it'd be such a worse experience? Because I think if you try and drive without music and there's no one else in the car, it's not, I wouldn't say it's the best experience, right? It feels kind of lonely, kind of quiet, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, so like,
Yeah,
do you
yeah.
think that's
I
because
think.
people listen to too much music now and that like we kind of need it to fill some
Mhm.
silence? Because
Yes,
if you think about
actually,
it, like I can't imagine driving like an
definitely. Wait,
hour or 2 hours with no music, by
for sure.
myself.
And I think that's why like back then people would have the radio on. Like my
Yeah.
dad, he would always have the radio on when I was a kid. He wouldn't listen to music. He would have the radio on, right? But now it's like with in our generation, there's Bluetooth and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So we like to listen to music. And I think the reason why, in my opinion, listening to music while driving is different than listening to music while doing stuff like going to the gym or doing homework,
Mm-hmm.
because when you're driving, it's like you're kind of doing it subconsciously. If you're once you reach that level of driving where it's
Yeah,
just
I know
like
what you mean.
you're good enough, and maybe you're driving like these very familiar routes, like you're doing it subconsciously and you don't have to focus too much. So it's kind of like you're just left feeling like you're doing nothing in a sense. At least that's what I feel whenever I drive without music.
Yeah, exactly.
And
It feels
that's
like weird, right? Like
it does feel weird.
you're just not even
Yeah.
conscious because
But
you
I
don't
think
know
of
how to tell the time's been passing because you don't even know how many songs you've been through. And
yeah,
then
no, actually
you're just going on the road, it's quiet, and then it all sounds the same, right? So it's yeah.
actually no, I didn't actually think about that, but you're right. Like it's hard to tell how much time has passed without music, I feel
Yeah,
like.
exactly. I feel like
Oh, that's
to
interesting.
some degree people become reliant on music, to just like fill the silence. I don't know, I feel like sometimes people walk. I see people walk at school. Almost
Mhm.
everyone has headphones in, right? Like you
Yes, yes.
wonder, why do you need headphones to walk, You don't need them, right? But
Yeah.
why does everyone choose to do it? It's kind of interesting because
Mhm.
if you just walk without music, what is it boring? Is it sad or does it just make boring things better?
Yeah. That's actually no, that's a very interesting like question and thought, because it's not as if people people hundreds of years ago or even like a few decades ago, they didn't have the ability to just like listen to music while doing the most mundane tasks, right?
Yeah, so like what did
And
they do?
it seems as if
They did it.
exactly. So it seems as if we are, I think definitely we are relying so much more, not just on music, but just like any form of media, uh,
Yeah. And
to
then the same
just
thing
kill
in
the.
like a research lab too. I see a lot of the times like not the older people like the professors, but the younger undergraduates, they usually have AirPods in while they work. And I wonder like
Mm,
do they like the work they do because the music makes it better? Like would it be a lot worse if they didn't have music, I always wonder like why they
yeah,
always need music when working.
right,
Because
right.
that
That's
to
a
me
good
that
point.
makes it seem like the work is too mundane to be
It's
interesting without music.
maybe it's not interesting enough for them to work without
Yeah,
music.
exactly. And then I wonder, like, well, then why did they choose to do this kind of work if they don't like it,
Right.
So I don't
Yeah.
really know what that means if people always have their
Really.
AirPods in.
Yeah. Well, when I work, because right now I'm working as an intern, like as a software engineering intern, but I work, um, and I listen to music while I work.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I feel like coding isn't something that I have to put like 100% focus and
Right.
concentration. Obviously, I feel like it would definitely help me work so much more efficiently and faster. Actually, I haven't really tried, but um, yeah, no, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess for
Um,
you because you can do it well, But
Yeah,
if I'm
yeah.
like reading something
It's like,
new, I can't listen to music, right? It distracts
oh,
me. Same
reading
with
definitely
studying.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless it's like lo-fi, but other than that, like I cannot listen to music while like reading or
Yeah, exactly.
anything.
And
And
like
I
listening to
imagine
music
like
while
if,
studying, I can sort of get it, but then when you take your exam, you're not going to be listening to music. So is it actually helpful to listen to music when you
yeah.
study? Like, are you really priming your brain
Mhm.
to work properly
Yeah.
during the test?
I feel like because when like when studying might be a different matter because with studying you're you have the act of gaining knowledge, but then also you're testing the knowledge you've gained. So for me,
Exactly.
when I'm like reading a textbook, right, or doing practice problems, I'll listen to music. But when I do like a practice exam to prep me for like a midterm, I I don't like listen to music to like replicate the exam scenario.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
also because
I think
when you're trying to test yourself, I mean, you kind of have to think about it, don't you? I mean,
yes,
if you're
yeah,
at music, it's pretty distracting, especially music with lyrics, because I mean,
yeah,
you're interpreting the words at the same time, so it's not really helping you, I feel like.
yeah. Well, do you know people that listen to music while studying?
Yeah, I
Like
mean,
not
almost
like
everyone I see
lo-fi.
at the library has headphones in.
Yeah,
And
but
I
they could
only
also
like
be listening to
recently started listening to music very quietly in the library, but that's just because I'll admit, like some subjects I don't like to study that much. So, listening to music can make it more bearable. But then
Yeah, I
I
see.
realized pretty quickly that when I tried to study without music, I felt like something was missing, and then I felt like I needed the music to actually make studying
Um,
enjoyable again. So I feel like
yeah,
I wasn't really using music properly there. I feel like it's not helpful in that case.
yeah.
Like
I
I
think
think it should
that,
just be for entertainment and as a hobby, not
yeah.
necessarily to fill the silence or just make something bad better.
Mm, yeah, but I'd say that's more so like a personal choice. I mean,
Yeah.
uh, I think this whole entire thing about like nowadays people really needing to listen to music for the most mundane tasks, like is a testament to like how people's attention span has changed.
Yeah, I
Because
think people's
back
attention span
then,
has definitely decreased.
yeah, and it feels as if like people can't stand just sitting there with their own thoughts, right? Like there's so
Right.
many people, and this is a big is it right to say ick? I guess this is an ick of mine.
Okay, sure.
And it's not as if like it's I don't hate anyone that does it, but it's just like I'm not a fan of it. Is in the dining hall, you probably see hundreds of people like whether they're with their friends or sitting alone, they have their phone out. They're looking at their phone
Oh,
and they're
yeah,
scrolling
yeah.
through their phone while they're eating, right? Sometimes I do that too, but it's just like I think about it sometimes, and I kind of think like, damn, we really just can't eat in silence, in peace. Like we just can't enjoy eating with our thoughts.
Yeah, I feel like
Uh,
actually eating, without any sort of like YouTube or something, I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of hard sometimes, and I feel bad that like that's the case for me too.
yeah.
Because
So
if
I
you're
feel
eating
like
alone,
this
you kind of it feels lonely, So
it
you
does
think,
feel
oh, if
lonely.
I
It does
have
feel lonely.
TikTok or something, it's gonna make it all better.
And you want that entertainment, but at the same time, it's just like I feel like the fact that we need this entertainment while we need to do something like eat is number one, yeah, showing how much our attention span has decreased, but also maybe it shows like I always imagined that it was for me a way to escape from my thoughts, right? Not willing to
Yeah,
confront it, thinking it's like, but
I think that's what a lot of people
I
do to prevent themselves from like
yeah,
having to
and
look around or
right,
be
right,
lonely. They just
maybe
fill it with TikTok.
yeah, escape reality in some way. Perhaps they don't want there's someone they don't want to talk to, or right. And I feel like
Yeah.
that same thing can be attributed to like why people listen to music all the time. At least that's what it's like for me. But music, like I don't know because I am a big fan of like listening to music. I listen to all types of music,
Yeah, me
so
too. I enjoy it a lot.
yeah,
But I think it's best in the car. When you have other people with you, you guys can like listen to songs together. I feel like that's a good
yeah,
pastime. That's not, becoming addicted to it or making a bad thing better. That kind of is the activity in some
Yeah.
way. But yeah, actually, I forgot about that. Like a lot of times in the dining hall, you'll see people with headphones on and just looking, watching something on their phone.
I know. It's just like, why the hell are you doing? Why the hell are you doing this? But then at the same time, I'll do it without even me realizing it. So,
Yeah, exactly. Like it's
yeah.
just instinctive at this point.
Mhm.
But I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing. If you're by yourself eating and you have no other things to do, it's not like you're doing anything wrong by going on your phone, but it's like,
Yeah.
you didn't think about
I
the
guess
fact that you always do it.
all we can really conclude is that it just illustrates how like how much we've changed as like a human race, how much our tendencies have changed. But yeah,
Yeah. But I don't know if it's a bad thing necessarily. I think
yeah,
it's up to the person to decide what's good for them.
yeah.
But I feel like if you think that you wouldn't enjoy an activity without music or without some other form of distraction, then, do you really enjoy that activity? It's like,
That's a good point. That's a good point,
I
actually.
would I would
Maybe
think
we could
about
talk
that.
about that in another episode.
Yeah.
I'd be willing to revisit that, but I think we should move on to the next few questions.
Okay. Do you have any more questions for me? I have like one more that we didn't cover, but we kind of did
Uh,
anyway.
what is that? What is that
It's just
question?
about social media addiction, but I mean, we kind of mentioned that. Like, it's kind of obvious at this point why TikTok and Instagram are addicting. I mean, there's plenty of research on why that happens.
Yeah.
But
I was gonna ask a very simple question, related to video games, and that's what got you into video gaming?
um it was a gift at first because the first games I played were it was a gift from my grandma. She bought us the Wii in 2008.
Mhm.
So I was a kid, but when
Yeah.
the Wii was like the new big thing, it's the new big console. So I feel like consoles I mean, it's a common gift for kids, I guess, for more wealthy people
Right.
who can afford them. But
Yeah. Was there, like, a specific game on the Wii that got you
yeah,
interested? Got you
I don't
wanting to
remember
play
what we
more?
started with. I think we started with like Wii Sports and that, but I don't really remember that. The first game I remember really liking was Super Mario Bros. Wii, and that got me into Nintendo
Uh-huh.
games. So that's why I liked buying all these Mario games all the time. And also, another thing is I would watch YouTube because, most kids nowadays are given tablets and other electronics. So if you have YouTube accessible to you, then you're gonna start watching video games as a kid. I mean, at least for young boys, I know a lot of them watched gaming YouTubers, and I would
Yeah.
watch them and I would see games that they play, and I'd be like, "Oh, I want that," so then I buy it and then I play it, and that's how I started. Like I just
Uh-huh.
would copy what the
Yeah,
games
yeah,
these people would play on the internet, but I was
yeah.
never
I
addicted
mean,
at all. I mean, I would play whenever I got the chance, and even Fortnite when it first came out. I wasn't addicted. Like I didn't find it that addicting. I would play one game a day and then I would lose and I'd be like, "Oh, I guess that's it." But like
okay,
I
so
don't know what
you
happened. It suddenly turned around and all of a sudden I was playing like 15 games a day and then I couldn't stop playing and I wanted to play all the time. I don't remember
uh,
what happened exactly, but it was like a complete 180.
I see. Yeah, for me, I first got into, like, gaming as a whole through my dad bought me the Wii as well.
Oh,
This was in,
okay.
like, 2008, right? And, I remember very vividly, like, playing Wii Sports and Wii Sports Resort. But also, I had a lot of other friends back, when I was very young, like 6, actually even younger than that, 4, that also, played a lot of games, and, I had no idea how they like, for instance, one of them was Wizard 101. I don't know if you've
I
ever
remember
heard of
that.
that
I
game.
remember. I didn't play it, but I
Do you
saw
remember
ads
that?
on TV.
He introduced me to that game, and I played that for a long while. I never understood how it worked, but and this is when we were like 4 or 5. But I never really had a long lasting stage where I would consistently like play games, even like one or two games. It would just be like sometimes I just have an era or like a period of time where I just all of a sudden have a sudden urge to do this or like play this specific game.
Yeah.
And another thing is like my parents, and this is not just like for games, they never really bought me anything that like I wanted. Actually, no, that sounds bad. But basically, they they wouldn't just buy any video game that I asked for. Right? A lot of the times, it's like, oh, I had to work for it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They'll say like, I remember in second grade they bought me Skylanders as a gift because I was doing well in school. Um, and that I dedicated a lot of hours to Skylanders.
Yeah,
That was a
I
fun
played a lot
game.
of Skylanders too. I remember that.
Yeah. So, but it's interesting you say that all of a sudden you became addicted. Um, was there do you think there was like a was this during COVID?
No, that was it was Fortnite. So it was in middle school. So I mean,
Was
I
it middle
probably didn't
school?
have that
Oh,
much work to do, but I don't know. Maybe it was other
yeah.
people started playing. It just became really popular.
Yeah, yeah. I think a lot of the reason why, like, what contributed to me having sort of like an addiction is like it was induced by the environment. A lot of the things in general, not just like gaming, but stuff I feel like I committed to earlier on in general was because I saw a lot of other people doing it and I saw that it was popular. And so naturally, as a kid, you see things that people are doing that are popular. You want to join in on it too.
Yeah, and it
So
also kind of became a competition because everyone knew the game, so everyone wanted to be the best at it.
exactly. Would you say you were a competitive like kid?
Yeah, I think I was competitive, and that partially made me have less fun sometimes.
But perhaps that fed into the addiction. No,
Yeah, actually,
would
that's
you say?
true. I think being competitive didn't help because naturally you're gonna lose. You're not gonna win every time. And when you lose, you think, "Oh, I
Of
can't end on
course.
a loss. I can't. I need to get a win." Because when
Right.
you lose, it sucks. So you need to win. Regain your
Mhm.
happiness, and then
And I
that
feel like
leads you
that's
into a
like
downward spiral.
yeah, yeah, where you just keep playing, and you just keep getting better. That's what it was like for me when I got addicted to a lot of the games. So, like for instance, like League or Valorant, right?
Yeah,
More recently, like a few in high school, and I wouldn't say I had an addiction, but I spent more time on it than I really wanted to because, I mean, it was there's like the ranking system. There's a competitive ladder, and as me, I feel like I'm naturally competitive. I like trying to be the best I possibly can at something and
hmm
reach like the highest level. I would spend a lot of time trying to improve and trying to get better because I liked seeing that improvement, right? And that sort of made me, in a sense, addicted, but not in addicted in this like in the way that oh I enjoy it so much I can't stop myself. It's more
yeah,
so like
yeah.
oh I'm getting better and I'm getting better and I want to keep getting better and it's fun getting better. And yeah, would you consider that an addiction if you're playing not for the enjoyment but for like a status?
No, I don't think that's necessarily addiction. I mean, because you can play for enjoyment and still be addicted. Like, I think it only
Yeah,
becomes an addiction if it starts interfering with the rest of your life, and you start like with gambling, you can tell it's an addiction once you start, selling things that you kind of need or that are kind of important to go gamble more. Like that's how you know gambling's an
yeah.
addiction. So video games is the same
But
thing. Once you start sacrificing things that are important just to play more,
I see, I see.
then it kind of becomes concerning.
So you're saying that whether or not it's for enjoyment or for any other sake doesn't matter. It's more so what you sacrifice.
Yeah, I mean, because addiction or not, like you just want to know if it's a problem or not, and it's only a problem if it
Mhm.
starts interfering. And I feel like once it does, you need to start thinking like, well, why do I even play games as much? You need to find something to distract you. Find something
Yeah.
that'll do the same thing as video games, but that is not video games, so that you don't have to be addicted.
Mhm. I
But
see.
I never really thought I was like that addicted. I definitely thought I was playing too much, but it never like interfered really. And I never had a problem where like I was
Yeah.
losing grades in school because I was
Yeah.
um I was distracted by video games.
Mm-hmm. Well, I feel like that's where I feel like my interpretation of addiction is different because I consider addiction not based off of how it how it impacts you in the way you can see it, like how it visibly impacts you, but in the sense that you can't easily stop yourself from doing something, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
I mean,
so
that's part of
like
it. Like, if it's
yeah, yeah.
interfering with your life and you can't stop it, then yeah, that's
But I think
definitely
there are tons of
addiction.
people that are that have an addiction towards video games or just anything in general, but it doesn't really impact their life directly or
That's
visibly.
true. Yeah.
Um,
Actually, I do know people who would play a lot of games and then still do fine.
right, and I think it's
So, that's
still
true.
still an addiction. They might not see it impact them now, but perhaps in the future it might impact them. Like in the sense of like when was I definitely consider myself like addicted to like watching anime back when
Yeah,
I was a
true.
kid, right? And so for me, I didn't my grades didn't suffer, but I was getting much less sleep, and I'd always come home and nap. So my schedule, my circadian rhythm was like completely warped, and my eyesight like started getting worse. Like now, I wear glasses when I drive because my eyesight isn't 20/20; it's like 20/40 or 20/50.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
That's
it's like
pretty funny.
it's not good. Like it's not as if I not living like a good life or anything, but at the same time, I'm still reaping the consequences of my addiction, right? And that's what I classify like addiction as. So
Yeah, I mean that makes sense.
yeah, and I feel like we were talking about music too. That's I think you can extend it to music. Like in a sense, would you say like we're like people are addicted to listening to music? Because honestly, I love listening to music, but I have to say, perhaps I am a little addicted because like whenever I have nothing to do, I listen, as I mentioned before, the mundane stuff, I listen to music. It seems as if I can't go without, like maybe even driving without listening. So,
I think driving is fine. Like most other things, if you can't do them without listening to music, then I think that is an addiction. But I think the problem is not that everyone's addicted, it's that everyone doesn't like certain things, but instead of changing that, they just put music on it to make it better.
um, well, I don't
But
know. That's like another conversation. I feel like we've like sucked that topic dry, honestly,
yeah.
because we've talked a lot. But there still is a lot more to like. Yeah. Were there any other
Yeah.
questions?
I have no more
Any other
questions. Did
questions?
you have any more planned?
Uh, last question.
Okay.
Considering this is a podcast about not just video games but mental health, how's your mental health been recently?
It's been good. Thank you for asking.
Good.
How has yours been?
It's also been all right.
All
It's
right?
just a lot. It's been a lot on my mind.
Oh, okay, like
I
what,
feel like
school, work?
we're yeah, no, school. So I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm not totally excited to go back to college. Like, don't get me wrong, I love going to school and
Yeah, I mean, I don't
it's
really want to study again. That's
but it's just like a lot of things. I'm definitely still adapting to like the social life in college. And so I'm we're at this interesting stage right now where we are I still feel like I want to spend time with you guys, like with the people here, um, like back home. But
yeah.
at the same time, I know that everyone else is getting so much more busier. I feel like you can see it. A lot of people, some people aren't even here. They're um, perhaps working abroad, right? Or they have some type of
That's
internship
true. Yeah.
elsewhere. And
Definitely
so for
college
me,
summers get a lot busier.
it's like you can tell that people maybe right now people aren't straying away from each other or people right now aren't they have the time. But I can definitely feel that as time goes on, it's going to be harder seeing like being able to talk to people
Yeah,
like high
but
school friends and middle school friends.
yeah, it's just that's expected. So like I feel like it's only a problem if you make it a problem, Like if you I feel like if you just put in effort to keep the relationship going, it should never should never be a problem of, it going away, right?
Yeah.
Like, is a lot of the times like people get stressed about that kind of thing, and then, but I feel like it's normal to get stressed about them to think, oh, all my friends are gonna leave. Like, yeah, of course I mean, everyone has to go do their own thing, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the friendships are just gonna go away, you know? Like we have phones, you can always contact people. And even if you can't like
Yeah.
see them, you can like call them, you can send them, I don't know, send them a TikTok or something. Like you can keep in touch pretty easily now.
Right. I think my biggest fear is just that we're just transitioning into a new stage, and this is the first time I'm actually putting thought and actually thinking about how this entire like social dynamic is going to change. Like
Yeah, I mean,
I
it's normal to be nervous about that too. Like a lot of people think when they get nervous about things that, oh, something's wrong with me. But like, no, I feel like everyone gets nervous about it. Everyone thinks, oh, I don't want to go back to school, or like I'm nervous to go do this, or I'm nervous that this is gonna happen and about their future. But like, I feel like that's natural, no? Because you don't know what's gonna happen in the future, and like uncertainty obviously breeds fear, but that's normal, and everyone fears the unknown because everyone wants to know what's happening because it makes them feel comfortable. But you don't always get to feel comfortable, do you?
yeah, no, you're exactly right. How would you say you deal with like these uncomfortable thoughts? Do
I don't know. I always,
you just accept
I
it,
sometimes
or
think like, oh, I have to, I want to apply to medical school, so I have to apply soon. I have to do this soon. Oh, what if I don't have time? What if? But like, I don't know. I kind of just don't worry. But I make a plan of what I'm going to do, and I feel like that reduces a lot of stress. If I just have a plan that I know I can follow, then I don't stress out that much. And then obviously not everything's gonna go perfectly according to plan, but if you just know at least roughly what you're gonna do, it shouldn't be that stressful. And a lot of times, if I'm
yeah,
overthinking too, I read this book. I think a lot of people have been reading this book about overthinking, and it seems stupid, but the solution to overthinking is to not think, which sounds really stupid. But the point is that people naturally have thoughts, right? Thoughts just come to you naturally, but you don't have to think about them. You don't have to start thinking about those thoughts. Like let's say you have this thought, oh, all my friends are gonna leave one day and then I'm gonna have no friends. Let's say you have that thought, right? I mean that's natural. But to overthink would be like, oh, so I'm gonna have no friends when I'm older. I'm gonna have no one, I'm gonna be lonely, I'm gonna have to work a 9 to 5 job, come home every day to nothing but like my cat or something. Like, no, you don't have to think about it like that. If you just forget about that thought, then it won't cause you any problems because you're just making things up in your head by thinking about it. And that's none of that's actually real because you don't know if it's true.
oh, right. No, so in the end, it's like
It seems stupid,
forget the
like you just don't
speculation.
think
No, no,
about
no.
it.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's like definitely right now, I am an overthinker. And it's like everything that I'm thinking about is all speculation because whether or not it's gonna happen, I'll never know.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
something for the future. Oh, that is a good way to like tackle
Yeah, so
that. Of
it's obviously not so easy to just stop it, but like, once you
course, yeah.
get better at it, like you just don't think yourself out of being happy. If you're happy, let yourself be happy. Don't try and think of a reason to become upset again.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
that's a good one. Other than that, I mean, I'd say my mental health is good. Is
That's
good.
good. Yeah.
I'm
Good
just
thing you
I
checked up
think
on that.
I think I'm just at a stage in life where a lot of things are happening. Time is just moving faster than I feel like it ever is.
Yeah, so
We're
it's normal
entering
to be
into our
stressed or nervous.
early years of adulthood too. It's just it's a lot of stress, but a lot of like enjoyment I'm experiencing, and it's just
Yeah,
so
exactly.
weird. So, but yeah, I'm glad I got to talk a little bit about
Yeah,
like
I'm
how I'm
glad too.
feeling.
That's all I have for you. I guess that's all you have for me too,
Yeah,
right?
all I have. Yes.
All right. Well, thanks for being on the podcast, Ethan. I
No, of
appreciate
course.
it.
It's great talking.
Yeah. All right.
All
I'll
right.
catch you later.
Yeah.
See
Bye,
ya.
guys.